The Blue Jackets win back-to-back games. Elvis is excellent. And are we allowed to be wildly over-optimistic about this team yet? Is that a thing that we can do? We're going to talk about that on today's live edition of Locked on Blue Jackets.
You're Locked on Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked on Blue Jackets, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get things started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every single day. Locked on Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. I also let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Haven't done a live show for a minute because I haven't really had a reason to, but I feel like that win was a reason to do a live post-game show. So I thought we would hang out for a little bit. I would talk a little bit about what I liked the most about the game, some of the things that I didn't love about the game, which is a much shorter list, and I thought we would hand out my player of the month. Tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at how the Blue Jackets have looked through the month of October. We'll hand out some awards, we'll hand out some superlatives, things like that. But I thought we would get things started off today with player of the month, and that'll lead into tomorrow. And then if people have questions, we'll do some questions. We'll do a mini mailbag in the third segment. I already have one question in there, so I'm excited to get to that. I am not ignoring the comments, I promise. I just can only focus on so many things at one time. So I'm going to talk for a little bit, and then we'll get involved with what's happening in the comment section in just a little bit. But honestly, and I said this to Gil Martin, host of Locked on Islanders, and he took it in the spirit at which it was attended. That was not a fun game to watch. That was a really boring game to watch. And that's kind of the Islanders' whole thing, is they might not be flashy, they might not be exciting, but damn it, they're going to grind you down. They just probably won't score many goals of their own in the process. And that was exactly what that is. I think I got about halfway through the second period when I was like, man, this is a really unpleasant style of hockey to watch. Blue Jackets doing their best, but just getting kind of clogged up. And I think, goaltending on both sides was excellent, I want to say, but obviously we'll talk about Elvis in a second here. But Varlamov also, he always plays well against the Blue Jackets specifically, but he was playing really well, I thought, tonight. Made at least 5 or 6 excellent stops in the first period alone that, for my money, should have been goals and just weren't. So, the fact that the Islanders get out of this with a 2-0 loss, one of which was an empty netter, and as we all know on this show, empty net goals do not count. So essentially they got out of this with a 1-0 loss. Varlamov made, I think, 40 saves or 39 of 40 saves. Just a great performance from him. 27 saves, excuse me, or 26 saves. 25 saves. I can do math on the fly, I promise. But I think, not to take away how good of a performance he had, the rest of the team were just kind of there. Again, they were, I don't even know if they were particularly good defensively. They were just so unpleasant to play against that, I don't even think the Blue Jackets, and maybe that is defense, is, if you can't even get set up in the zone for very often, it's not like there was great defensive plays being made. I just don't even think they got the chance to get to those defensive plays because they were just making everything so unpleasant to look at and to pay attention to. And it was just a bad game to watch. Thrilled we won, really excited that we won. Bad to watch. Sorry if there are any Islanders fans that have kind of come to hang out. Bad to watch. Didn't enjoy it. Enjoyed the win. Did not enjoy watching the game. It was stressful to me. And now we get to do that again 3 more times, I believe. They don't play again until January 20th now, so we do have some blissful free time away from the New York Islanders. But I want to talk about a couple of performances other than Elvis's that I really liked. And I was thinking about this kind of through the game. Sean Monahan has really come to play this season, and I do wonder how much of his reputation is based on, well, he can't stay healthy. I'm going to knock on wood here because I don't want to curse this team or anything. I may have already cursed them by saying this, but like, if Sean Monahan had been healthy for the past 5 years, we would be having a much different conversation about him as a player. Because right now he is looking truly excellent out there. I think he's been very, very good for the Blue Jackets. Is leading the team in scoring. That line had kind of some adventures in their own zone tonight. They were matched up against the Barzal line. Matt Barzal, very, very good player. We all know this. But Sean Monahan, just every so often, he'll make a play, and I'll be like, oh, I didn't know that Sean Monahan could do that. It's whether he's, taking the puck off the board or just making these short little passes that somehow get exactly where he wants them to go. I think that's why Chinikov and Marchenko have been having such a strong start to the season as well. This is the difference for me between the Russian line last year and the top line this year. And I know they're not a Russian line, obviously, despite the fact that they keep calling him Monahanov, which I do love. It's the difference between Sean Monahan and Dmitry Vronkov for me. Dmitry Vronkov is a young player that I think has a lot of real potential. But what he doesn't have yet is the reps, and he doesn't necessarily have the strength as a center. So I think, when Vronkov comes back, I would love to see him on the wing. I don't see him on Fantilli's wing specifically, but seeing Chinikov and Marchenko with a proper, adult real center that can win faceoffs and everything, I think is why I think I was so, I don't know if this line is going to work when they got put together, because I was thinking, well, Chinikov and Marchenko didn't gel particularly well with Vronkov between them. However, Monahan for me has been such a strong presence on this team that I think it's lifting everyone else up, and it's been really, really fun to watch. Someone else that I have been really impressed with, and I talked about him a little bit last episode. In fact, Mathieu Olivier continues to just do his thing and play his game. And I've been frustrated by Olivier for the past couple of seasons, mostly because all he did for a couple of seasons was fight and occasionally throw a goal in there or throw an assist in there, but his line was consistently getting caved in their own zone. He would throw some punches, and that was kind of the Olivier experience, and I know a lot of people loved that. A lot of people loved Olivier. He has been so good this season. I thought he was really strong again tonight. I thought he and Aston Reese together were a real strong duo. Justin Danforth on that line as well. Again, I like that line a lot. Do I think it's a third line in most teams? No, but it's a line that I think is thriving right now on being taken for not taken for granted, but I think the other team is taking them too lightly. And so I think that's why Olivier, Aston Reese, Danforth, who scored tonight, it was an empty net goal. But hey, I know that I just said that empty net goals don't count, but they do when Justin Danforth scores them. Okay, I don't make the rules. But that third line has been a real kind of breath of fresh air of oh, you can have a bottom six that contributes offensively and a bottom six that actually does things instead of just grinding and hanging out in the neutral zone and then dumping and changing. You can have a third line that goes in to forecheck, that goes in to take possession, and goes in to tire out the other team. And that's been really, really fun to watch. So shout out to the third line. Shout out to Sean Monahan, just kind of in general. Again, kind of a weirdly quiet game for him, but I thought he had a lot of moments where he did all of the right things. Just didn't get the goals, and I think again Varlamov played really, really well in this game. Not as good as Elvis though, which is what we're going to talk about in a minute. Which I want to talk about Elvis's performance tonight. I want to talk about are these two games more indicative of who Elvis is than his first two games of the season? What do we have in Elvis? Have we figured it out? Is it too soon to tell? We're going to talk about all of that in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, though, I've got to tell you about FanDuel, because you can get ready to tackle NFL action right now with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers are going to get $150 in bonus bet by placing any winning $5 bet. So, literally, go and find the heaviest favorite you can. If you'd put $5 on the Dodgers winning the World Series, that seems like it had been a pretty good, pretty safe bet. So just find the heaviest favorite you can, put $5 on it. You're going to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. And you can spend that on whatever you want. You can spend it on hockey, NFL. It sounds like baseball is about to be over for the year, but you can spend it on the NBA, college sports, all of these things you can bet on at FanDuel. And it gives you everything you need to place live bets all in one place. So if you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, you can view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. Again, place your first $5 bet and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. Thanks for making this your first listen of the day, despite the fact that it is, 10 p.m. in Columbus? It's fine. We're doing great here. I want to talk about Elvis because you know me, you know this show. We love to talk about goaltending, and we love to talk about good goaltending even more. And this team has not given me very many reasons to talk about good goaltending so far. And they seem to have decided, actually, we are going to be good now. It's very early, small sample size, etc., etc., etc. That was two excellent performances for Elvis, back to back. I think I saw on the broadcast he's made 60 of his last 61 saves. Obviously, I thought he was fine in the home opener, but not in the season opener, but not great. I think he struggled in the home opener, and then he had I think it listed as an upper body injury. I do think it was just that he was like, oh, actually, this home opener honoring a teammate who's died brings back a lot of bad stuff, actually. I'm not okay. So he took a break, missed a couple of weeks, is back, was great. Last game against the Oilers was even better tonight, I thought. Got the shutout that he was robbed of in the Oilers game. And so now I want to talk about, is this what Elvis is, or is he going through a hot streak right now? Is the real Elvis more like the Elvis that we saw kind of in the first 2 games of the season? And again, we've got 4 games of evidence here. It's not a huge sample size. But what I will say is this looks like a more mature version of the Elvis we saw in his rookie season. So the Elvis we saw in his rookie season was energetic and just kind of throwing himself around the ice, making all these incredible dramatic saves. And it feels like as he's kind of matured that out of his game and kind of taken some of that out of his game and settled down a little bit, it feels a little bit like he kind of lost some of that reactionary saves, I feel like a lot of last season I saw Elvis who just kind of not checked out, but it felt like he wasn't as extending as far as he could to make a save, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? But the Elvis that we've seen so far this season, and again, I'm kind of still including the first 2 games of the season in that, is he feels a lot more chill. He feels a lot more calm. He feels a lot more collected. And I'm not comparing him to Sergei Bobrovsky here necessarily, because they're 2 wildly different players. I am seeing shades of kind of when Bobrovsky is on his game, yes, he has that dramatic reaction and he has the overextension and he has the kind of, not the flailing, but the controlled chaos, I think is what Bobrovsky was really good at, when he was at his best in Columbus. And I'm seeing a little bit of that in Elvis's game right now. Now, what happens next? I don't know. Are we going to get a third Elvis start in a row? The Blue Jackets have a back-to-back this weekend, so my guess is we'll see Elvis for one of those games and Tarasov for the other. One of those games is at home, and the other one is a Metro Division team. So the Blue Jackets, I think, play Winnipeg at home on Friday, and then they go to Washington to play the Capitals on Saturday. So, which game do you want Elvis in? Do you want another home victory for Elvis, or do you want to put him against the Metro Division, where arguably the points are much more important? This actually was the first Metropolitan Division matchup for the Blue Jackets this season, and they started strong. I feel like last season they were absolutely miserable to watch against the Metro Division. They had some success against other divisions, but could not win a game in the Metropolitan Division for love nor money. So, great to see them start out and get a win here. But what Elvis do we have? Are we going to keep getting this Elvis that makes these incredible saves and wins games? Or are we going to get an Elvis who maybe allows a bad goal and maybe falls apart a little bit? Because you see that a lot with goalies that have lost their confidence, is that they allow one goal and then they they try and overcorrect. I, as someone who has watched a lot of Sharks hockey over the past couple of seasons, again, you can see it happen. You can see they allow a bad goal, and it just snowballs from there. An easy way around that is to not allow a goal all game, because you don't have anything to like fight back from, I guess. But I'm curious about what we're gonna see from Elvis kind of as this goes forward. To see like how what kind of Elvis we're gonna get, basically. I stepped into the comments just to have a quick look, and I got distracted by an extremely funny comment from Andy Maines, who asked if we can get Elvis some zip ties to attach his stick to his wrist. I do feel a little bit like that's just Blue Jackets goalie hockey. Like, I feel like, again, going back to Sergei Bobrovsky, his whole thing was if he had to cross the crease quickly and make a blocker save, he would just yeet his stick to get over in time, because sticks are pretty light these days. What is it, like a pound, a couple of pounds? But that's a couple of pounds less weight that you have to carry across, It is just kind of what the Blue Jackets goalies do. Korpisalo was really bad at it as well. Not bad at it, but bad for it, of just like, just going to lose my stick. Just going to get rid of the stick. Don't need it. So I personally would love if they got those, those like leashes you get for your child where they go around the wrist and they're like elastic. I think one of those, maybe like one to the net and then another one attached to the stick to keep the goalie in the net, and also the stick attached to the goalie. So like, I would love that personally. It's always entertaining when a goalie just decides to like yeet his stick out of the way, but I do find it very stressful. Gonna take another quick break. I want to talk very quickly about Player of the Month, who my Player of the Month is, and then we'll take some questions. So if you haven't put a question in the chat and you have a question, throw it in there. If you have your vote for Player of the Month as well, I would love to see what you guys think. Who's been your MVP for the Blue Jackets so far in the month of October? So we'll do all of that in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I'm going to tell you about PrizePicks. What is PrizePicks? Well, let me tell you. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to everyone. All you've got to do is pick more or less on at least two players for up to a shot to win 100 times your cash. So you can run your game all season long on PrizePicks. Do you think that Austin Matthews is going to score more than a goal and a half next week? Do you think Elvis Merzlikins will make over 25 and a half saves in whatever game he plays this weekend? You can cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this hockey season when you and your crew run your game on PrizePicks. And PrizePicks puts their members first. So all withdrawals is fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. And they're now off Venmo, so you get even quicker and easier deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. Download the app today. That's PrizePicks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, that is code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. Welcome back to this live edition of Locked On Blue Jackets. We've talked about this huge win over the Islanders. Was it a huge win if it's the Islanders? Maybe not, but it still counts. That is a big 4-point game, essentially, because it is both the 2 points that we got and the 2 points that the Islanders didn't get. And you love to see it. You really do. But we've talked about that. Now I want to kind of circle around to the month as a whole and try and figure out, like, okay, a lot of the Blue Jackets have kind of exceeded expectations for me. And someone I didn't even get a chance to talk about in the segment of like players whose game I've enjoyed. Jake Christensen, I thought, was excellent in this game. Saved I think it was like a 4-on-1 or a 4-on-2. And he just broke it up like that. So like, shout out to Jake Christensen. I don't think he's my player of the month, but he is maybe the guy that has exceeded my expectations the most. Because I did think that he was going to be a guy that was probably going to play that Andrew Peeke role of like, yeah, maybe he'll get in a game every so often, but will mostly like be injury cover. He stepped into the top 4. He's playing very well with Damon Severson. He's covering for Damon Severson's blue screen moments, brain fart moments, I guess you could call them. And he's really, really impressed me. So shout out to Jake Christensen. But like, Igor Chinikov has exceeded expectations. Sean Monahan has exceeded expectations. Mathieu Olivier has exceeded expectations. All of these players have exceeded expectations, but like, who's the player of the month? So I'm just gonna quickly go into the comments and see if anyone else has any like thoughts on. I do love Brett Radabor being like, I'm enjoying the ride, especially the Mathieu Olivier October Player of the Month show that he's putting on. And honestly, you could very well say that Mathieu Olivier is the Player of the Month for October, depending on whether you grade on a curve or not. He's got 4 goals on the season, and his career high is 5. So he's basically already hit his career high. Do we think Mathieu Olivier hits double digits in goals this season? I really hope so. And I think it would be so funny to watch. Sticks and Tape has Sean Monahanov for October MVP. And he was going to be my pick as well, if I'm being honest. He's leading the team in scoring, again, has exceeded all my expectations, has become a legitimate 1C on this team that I thought he might kind of. Honestly, I thought what we were going to get from Sean Monahan 1C was kind of like the Boone Jenner 1C experience of he's there, I guess, and is a perfectly acceptable player, but is not a first line center. Sean Monahan has been a first line center in basically every metric, and it's really, really fun to see. I am going to cop out though, and I am going to go. I just went to see what his points total was, and I was correct. Kromachenko is killing it. He's got 11 points in 8 games so far. He's got 4 goals, 7 assists. He's shooting at like 21%, which is probably a scooch high, but I'm not gonna complain too hard about that. 9 of his points have come at even strength, so he's not produced. It's not like a bunch of power play. I don't really get the idea of like power play merchant as a thing because like it points are points, and I know that 5-on-5 points mean more than power play points or whatever. But 9 of his 11 points have come on even strength. He's got a couple of power play points in there as well, and he's doing more than scoring goals as well, which was something that I was worried about with that top line. Are they going to have to split the goals? Because I think that I could very easily see a Chinikov 30-goal season. I could very easily see a Kromachenko 30-goal season, and I was worried at how that was going to work. Was it that they were just going to split it and we'd end up with like 2 15-goal seasons instead of 1 30-goal season? I don't think so anymore. I think we might see maybe not 2 30-goal seasons, but like it's very possible that we see 20 to 25 goal season for Chinikov and 25 to 30 goal season for Kromachenko, which is going to be really fun to watch. So Kromachenko is my player of the month. Honorable mention to Zach Grensky, who has been kind of a much quieter MVP, but he has been everywhere. He's playing a million minutes at even strength. He's playing on the penalty kill. He's playing on the power play. Like, this looks like the dominant Zach Grensky of a couple of seasons ago, where he, was a 50-point defenseman easily and a 20-goal defenseman. So, like, watch out for him creeping up the rankings for November Player of the Month if he keeps going the way that he's going. So that's my Player of the Month, Kromachenko. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to go through some more awards, some more superlatives. We're going to talk about what I've thought about the Blue Jackets October as a whole. But Kromachenko, my Player of the Month for October. I'm just going to scroll through real quick and talk about. I'm going to answer some questions that are in the chat. So I'm just going to go from the top. Elk wants to know my thoughts on the season so far. Again, I'm having a great time. I've been frustrated by some things, but for the most part, I'm having way more fun than I thought I would be watching this team, especially, you look at the loss of Gaudreau. I did think that watching this team was going to be not fun, just because I thought the weight of Gaudreau was going to be hanging over this team all season, and it kind of is, but in a positive way. And I think that's a big part of it, is that they're all kind of approaching the game like Johnny Gaudreau did. And they've decided, actually, we're all just going to act like Johnny Gaudreau, and it's going to work out great. And so far, it has. So exceeded expectations. Is my thoughts on the season so far. Do I think they're going to come back down to earth? Absolutely. They're going to come back down to earth. They're going to regress. Like, they're not going to continue scoring. Like, what I think 22% of their shot off the rush are not going to go in the net. That's going to regress. They're going to come back down to earth. But right now, I'm enjoying the ride. I'm having so much fun. And hopefully everyone else is as well. Again, Brett, Robot, I'm enjoying this team finding ways to win. And that's the other thing as well, is that they're not doing the same game every single time. It feels like we're seeing a lot of different games. We've got the games where the goalies shut it down. We've got the games where the goal scorers decide, actually, we're just going to put 6 goals up, which, if we follow the pattern, there is a 6-goal performance coming Winnipeg's way on Friday, because I believe every other game this season, the Blue Jackets have scored 6 goals. So again, is it going to regress? Probably. However, it's going to be very, very funny if they continue this every other game scoring 6 goals business. Nonsense. Chaos. I love it. Do you even lift? 1744 says, I feel almost confident watching them. Is that too soon? I had the same thought about maybe 2/3 of the way through the game, kind of at the end of the second period-ish, where I was like, man, do I have faith in this team to win a game? Which is not a feeling that I had basically at all last season, which is maybe mean to the Blue Jackets. But right now, I'm like, yeah, no, there's confidence. They're rolling. They're doing well, they are doing well. Is it too soon to be this confident? Maybe, but what is this podcast if not wildly overreacting to things in small sample sizes, So I feel too confident probably, but again, I'm just going to kind of enjoy it while it's happening, because I didn't think that we were going to have this kind of fun this early in the season. Again, Brett, is there any advanced stats that show what exactly is happening? I remember the good start 3-ish years ago. I discussed that there was going to be regression to the mean. Yeah. So the Blue Jackets are on the shooting heater of all time. Like, it is truly insane. I saw a great example of it from Micah Blake McCurdy, who's at Ineffective Math on Twitter, one of my favorite stats guys to look at, because he makes it super, super easy. And I'm just pulling up what he posted a couple of days ago, which was that Columbus are on the most outrageous shooting heater. So they have this was previous to tonight's game, obviously, so they've added 2 more goals onto this, and they've probably added a couple more expected. But they had an expected goals number of 19.3. So far this season, they have been expected to score just over 19 goals. They have actually scored 32 goals. So they've scored 13 goals or 14 goals, if I'm doing the math right, that they shouldn't have done. So that's going to regress to the mean, but also they're just kind of doing it not the right way necessarily, and I don't think it's sustainable, but it doesn't feel like every game is just kind of chaos and they're taking advantage of a poor goalie, They're winning in other ways as well. If they were like taking advantage of like the game against the Avalanche, which I think was the second game of the season, where they basically just kind of victimized Alexander Georgiev, who was playing very badly indeed. And I was like, oh, well, that was fun, but they took advantage of a bad goalie. It's not going to happen again. And then they just keep doing it. Yes, they will regress to the mean, but I do think there's enough underlying stats that I'm like, oh, actually, will they be as good as they are kind of playing right now? Probably not. And like the goals will die down. However, a lot of the underlying stats are looking really good. Similarly, that Monahan, Chinikov, Marchenko line is the best line in the league right now in terms of creating offense. And they're putting the pucks in the net as well. So like what's going to happen now, or what will probably happen now, is the offense will dry up a little bit, or it will regress to the mean. Will they continue playing as well as they are when the goals aren't there? Because it's easy to stop playing the right way if you're not scoring goals. And so I will be interested to see kind of what goes from there. I think the underlying stats are promising. I do think that there is regression in our future. But as of right now, again, I can enjoy what the Blue Jackets are doing. Like, this is house money. We're playing with house money right now. A lot of people, not Blue Jackets fans, but other people in like on Twitter, etc., other fan bases were like, man, the Blue Jackets might be the worst. Like, they might have the worst record in NHL history. Like, they might be the worst since the 67 expansion Caps, who won, I think, 7 games all season. And people were like, man, the Blue Jackets might give them a run for their money. When you look at like losing Gaudreau, and then Jenner goes down with an injury, Voronkov goes down with an injury, Ken Johnson, who started on a real heater, goes down with an injury, and this team just kind of keeps picking themselves back up, which, again, house money. I said at the beginning of the season that I would be happy with. I think I said I wanted a 40-win season from the Blue Jackets, so just under 500 hockey. As of right now, I think they are on pace for what was that? That was their 5th win, I believe, in 8 games. That might be incorrect. Can I do math on the fly? It was their 5th win in 9 games. So they've got a 611 point percentage right now, which at an 82 game pace is, I want to say, like 50-ish wins. I don't think this team will hit 50 wins, but like, again, I just keep coming back to, I expected so little from this team for justified reasons. Like, this is not me like talking smack about the team. I just very much had I was like, it's probably going to be a struggle this season. Justifiably so, and understandably so. Like, this team has gone through a massive amount of trauma, like 2 weeks before training camp started. Literally, like 2 weeks before training camp started. So literally any joy from this is going to be house money. And so, is it sustainable? Probably not. But is it fun? Heck yeah. I think that's all of the questions that I had. I did have some great ones in there though, and like, shout out to you guys for coming and hanging out in the chat. I love the engagement. I love you guys coming to hang out. One last thing, unlike last season from Andy Maines, unlike last season, I wasn't scared with a 1-goal lead in the third. I was a little bit scared, but that's also because I've been traumatized by that before. And again, like, to go back to the Sharks, the 2 Sharks games that I've seen in person this season, one of them, they had a 4-1 lead and then lost 5-4 in overtime. And then the second game I watched, the game before that, they had been down 4-1 and had then come back to win 5-4 in overtime. So, like, that's what I'm working with here in terms of my expectations. And the Blue Jackets are doing better than the Sharks. So, like, let's just accept that. I also am excited to see how this team reacts with a back-to-back situation. If I remember rightly, this team was not great at back-to-backs last season. I feel like if they won one, they would lose the other, or sometimes they lost both of them because this team lost a lot of games last season. But, like, something that is going to be interesting. I don't believe the Blue Jackets won 3 games in a row last season, ever, at all. I think they won 2 games in a row, like 3 times. And beyond that, it was like win, lose, lose, win, lose, lose, win, win, you know? I think they had two or 3 instances where they won back-to-back games. Blue Jackets have just won back-to-back games. Can they win 3 games in a row for the first time, maybe since literally 2022? I'm excited to see it. That's kind of it for me today, though. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to break down the month of October for the Blue Jackets. We're going to look at how they stack up against in the standings, in the individual stats, in the underlying stats. We'll hand out some individual awards, things like that. Shout out to you guys again for coming to hang out in this special live edition of Locked On Blue Jackets. Thanks for, if you're tuning in to the VOD, thanks for making us your first listen of the day every single day. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms. We're up on YouTube, which if you're watching on YouTube, hi. Thank you for being an everydayer. I appreciate you guys. You can find me on Twitter at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the show at LO_Blue Jackets. If you have comments, questions, criticisms, you can email me at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. Thank you once again for listening, and until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.